Founder Culture, the podcast for founders and startup leaders who understand that building a business may be hard, but building a team, now that's where things get tricky. I'm Romaine Wright, founder of Just Right Consulting LLC and creator of Thrive or Derive. In every episode, I take one real team issue, break down the behaviors driving it, and provide strategies on how to fix it. Welcome to the show. So I am excited to be joined with a special guest in the studio today, Tia Cristy. Tia Cristy is a seasoned global communication expert, former national radio personality, and TEDx speaker whose work has reached millions online. She partners with organizations to diagnose and resolve the hidden communication breakdowns that erode productivity, culture, and revenue. Tia, welcome to the show. So excited.
I'm so excited to be here.
I am so glad that you're able to join me for the show today, especially to talk about communication and leadership. It's a topic that has recurred in the season, and I would love for us to be able to talk about it and to talk to a global communication expert about the impact of the language and words that leaders use, especially entrepreneurs, on their teams and the overall culture of their businesses. So let's start right there. Share your thoughts on that, and then we'll go from there.
Well, wonderful. Thank you. First off, thank you for having me. I mean, seriously, I love talking to you. Anytime I get to talk to you, it makes me happy. So, and I love that we're able to do this together, like in person, not on a Zoom or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because people have asked me many times, like, is there a difference between, phone call, Zoom, and in person? And of course, I mean, like, we know that, right? But Zoom is such a beautiful thing, and I probably should just say, like, video chats are such a beautiful thing because you get to actually see people's expressions. You get to feel that. It was perfect when it was really introduced where, we were at arm's length from each other and, we couldn't be face to face and all of that stuff. So, I mean, it really does have its place now in history. So I think that is a great source of communication. This is how I get to be this global, expert, because I get to Zoom with people and talk to them all over the world. So I love that today we are doing this in person because we got this gorgeous place and, gorgeous people. And we're doing our thing.
Yes.
All right. So, communication, I think you do very well at it. I love your podcast. I love what you do.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And I think people need to understand that our communication should be 100% authentic. I know that's an overused word right now, but, when we are true to who we are, it's not exhausting. I deal a lot with personas with clients, especially brands. When I'm working with a brand, what is the persona? The persona should be exactly as close to you as possible, right? That way, if it's exhausting, you're not gonna have longevity with it, right? But if you're like, okay, well, I'm not a morning person. I love my coffee. I'm a little neurotic, like all of these things. And you own that.
Yeah.
It can be endearing, right? But if you come in and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to be chipper and I got to be a person that I'm not. And all of a sudden, like, you're like, everything is great all the time. And then all of a sudden you're going to get into traffic and you're just going to lose your stuff. And it's hard to bounce back from that. And people are not going to feel kindred to you. They're not going to feel relatable because you have this, false personality, this fake persona. So.
I love that you call that out because one of the things I talk about a lot is your identity as an entrepreneur and owning it and being comfortable, giving yourself permission to create it on your own terms. And what I just heard you say was not only is it important for you to do that and know what that is, but for you to have clients that mirror that, because those are the people you can be yourself with, the best with. And communication is a part of that because it affects like your ability to communicate with someone that is on a polar opposite from you and has totally different needs than what you're able to deliver. Is going to directly affect your business and how you communicate with them. And I automatically see team as well, right? Because I have absolutely experienced being a morning person and dealing with someone on a team or even a leader who's not,
Okay.
and what that dynamic looks like in the morning. You know, when everyone comes in the office, do I need to say good morning more than once to this person? Can I say it at all?
Right.
Is it someone that needs to go in their office and have their coffee first? And you're saying, know yourself, know that about you, and build that into your business.
I do. But it doesn't mean that your team or everybody has to mirror exactly, you know, because I want to be clear on that. It's really important to understand yourself first.
Yep.
And then understand how somebody else communicates, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could say, I always use this sky is blue example, right? None of us are going to see the same color blue.
Mm-hmm.
We can communicate and we can think that we're really good at it. But the other person doesn't get what you're saying. Like they're not picking it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I need to understand how Romaine communicates when I'm having a conversation, especially if you're on my team.
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, you're not a morning person. I am. I'm not, but like, you know, let's be honest. I'm a Tia, like I'm just on my own time. But let's just say I'm a big time morning person and I'm chipper in the morning. And I know that you are not. All right. But there are so many other things where we match on, like you are strong where I am weak and like all of that stuff, right? It's such a beautiful process. So I'm not going to come in and be all annoyingly chipper at you. Because that's not fair. And you can't be like, because that's not fair either. So we have to be very aware of what's going on with the other person.
Right.
And when we can all do that, nobody's really being selfish. Isn't that amazing? You know,
it is.
The first thing that people always say to me, they're like, well, what if I'm caring about them and they're not caring about me? I said, no, the rule is we all care about the other person.
Isn't that the golden rule, right?
It really is. It really is.
And it's important that you make that clarification, right? Because it requires a level of self-awareness. But if we, you know, talk about emotional intelligence as a leadership skill, emotional intelligence isn't just understanding my own challenges and my own communication style and emotional needs, but the other person's as well. And then finding that happy medium. How do I show up as my authentic self, but still meet the needs of whoever it is I'm communicating with at the time, engaging with at the time, interacting with at the time. So I'm so glad that you made that distinction and the importance of that higher level awareness in not just leadership, but just in interpersonal interactions and communication. So talk to me a little bit more about what you do as far as teaching communication skills, how you show up for teams, how you help leaders, particularly in the impact of their communication styles on the business.
I love it. Yeah. So, I mean, you know me, I love talking to people. I'm always like, hey, what's up? I love knowing about people. I love people's stories. I love people understanding that they have a story because believe it or not, there's a very large percentage of population out there that don't think their stories matter. They don't even think they're the main character in their story, right? So I come in, I kind of work with that. Communication is in everything that we do, which is so beautiful. That's why I love what I do. And, you know, I started out, as you know, in radio. I was a personality most of my life. And I know the science behind communication. I'm really thorough in micro expressions. And, you know, like I really nerd out on this stuff. It's really, really cool to me. So I never saw myself doing what I do today, but it all makes sense that I do what I do. Do you know what I mean? And it's so rewarding what I do. So I can go into a company and I can do an audit, right? Where there's always communication breakdowns in an environment, in a work environment, right? And you could sit there, and I always pick on Bob. So if your name is Bob, I'm not just like, I always pick on Bob. So let's say Bob is having a problem with Sheila, and you could sit there and say, all right, well, Bob's the problem. I got to fire Bob. That's not going to change the environment, right? Because guess what? Bob too is just going to walk through the door at some point in time and change the environment again to a negative space. So what I come in and I do is I find out where the breakdown is happening in the environment. Okay. And it's not picking on Bob. It's not picking on Sheila. It's basically saying, all right, here is what's happening. People don't feel safe. People don't feel heard. They don't feel seen. They don't feel understood. Right. And that's really all we ever want, is to feel seen, heard, and understood. Right. So what I do is I come in and I find these problems and I help bridge that gap. I help fix them, right? We have generational gaps that are happening in companies now. I mean, and my favorite thing to say is, you built them, you know. But like, everybody wants to talk about the Z's, and I'm like, you made them, you know. But here's the fact: just like I said, you have to be hyper aware, and not hyper aware, but I love that word, so I use it, about the other person. You have to be, you know, aware of what's going on. So you, as a boomer or an Xer or whatever, have to sit there and say, okay, I am dealing with a Z, and they need a little bit more of a hand holding in this element. I need a little bit of a hand holding in that element, you know, and we are able to kind of like bridge that gap. All right. And you can't have a boomer coming in being like, all right, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to try to work this out. And a Z being like, I'm not doing that. Like, everybody has to be on the same page. And sometimes it takes somebody coming in and showing that. Now, the numbers are where it gets really scary. So most companies out there today are losing about $19,500 per employee annually on communication errors.
Wow.
It's a big number.
Huge number.
Bigger the company, the more millions we're getting into, right?
That's right.
So when we look at it that way and we're able to bridge that gap, it's kind of like a no-brainer, right? It's like, oh, get to you on the phone now. Because when we can just even make it aware that it's happening, and this has been proven, that there will be an instant 10% increase in your revenue just by knowing that within 6 months. So, you know, these are the things that I bring to light with companies. And then I work with individuals on, you know, anything from they need to do a pitch to they just need to learn how to talk better. They're doing a best man speech, or, you know, something like that. I mean, I work with everything under the sun. But it's really great to be able to have the people that I do work with, because they're just so amazing. And everybody has these insecurities, you know. Glossophobia is a real thing. That is the fear of speaking. And I think is that like 86% right now, people have a fear of speaking. So that's a really, really, really high number. And I've worked with people that are just amazing, like at their craft. They can go in, they can talk to anyone while they're doing their job. And then you take them out of that job and put them in a social environment, and they're like, no, I can't do it.
I believe it. Yeah. I listen. And one of them, not in a social environment, but when I started this podcast, or in anything in front of a camera, you know, I've been doing public speaking and teaching classes and all that for almost 2 decades. But that camera came on. I'm like, oh, what? What's happening? Where's the person? Who am I talking to? So I get it.
I get it.
So I get it.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now you quoted that number, right? $19,000 a year, 19,000 plus. What are some of the communication gaps that constitute that figure? Like, just give us a few, whatever they may be, and say these are the deficiencies, right, within a company that contribute to that figure.
So one of the big ones is not my job.
Yeah. Okay.
You hear that a lot now. Right? Not my job. Then you've got 2 people doing the same job. That's always fun. You got the generational gaps, which is really a big one right now. We're looking at 6 out of 10 companies are firing a new hire from like out of college within 6 months of hiring them, you know? So my whole plan is to retain instead of retrain. And how do we do that? You know, so that's one of the things that we got to look at too, making the company a little bit more seamless, because again, now you get me nerded out. You know, like Because you look at a company and a company's like, okay, well, we got to fire this person. Now we got to retrain somebody. And when you retrain somebody, they're coming in only at like maybe 6% capacity or 60% capacity for the first 7 months,
Yeah,
right? They have to
absolutely.
learn all of this stuff. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you're firing them. Now you're
Mm-hmm.
doing this again.
Mm-hmm.
You really only got one solid month of maybe 90% capacity from that person.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's how do we retain instead of retrain all the time?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm so glad that you talked about that as well because, many of my listeners are entrepreneurs and the dynamics around hiring, employee relations, management, all of that are sometimes things they have to learn they've never had to deal with, right, in their corporate jobs or whatever they were doing before they became entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And this conversation actually reminds me of an episode that I filmed on story framing where I talked about the impact of the way a founder, entrepreneur tells their entrepreneurial journey on their employees, right? Where it's like, I escaped the 9 to 5 and the 9 to 5 is the enemy, but hey, I work a 9 to 5 and I'm working for you.
Exactly.
And so if the 9 to 5 is so bad, that means that I need to quit and go start my own business if I want to really be successful. So can you talk a little bit about specifically communication in founders, entrepreneurs, and that impact on their business, on their team, on that culture?
Right. So I always love what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's not always true, right?
Right.
So the fact is that you have people that come in and say stuff like that, and it's just like, oh, what are you saying? Come on, because it's so it's insensitive. Like, let's be honest, it's insensitive. You are expecting these people to give you their 9 to 5, and you're like, no more 9, and it's like, and it's one of those things where it doesn't work. You need them and they need you. And I think when we can understand not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur. Now, we have a lot. It is the highest entrepreneur rating that we've had in ever, right? And it's a beautiful thing. Entrepreneurs, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But not everybody is meant to be one. This is why they say the statistics of, businesses fail within the first 5 years. Okay? Because stuff gets hard.
Yeah.
All right. And that's on you. Like, that's not even like on the people yet. Stuff gets hard. And there's nothing wrong with it. And I tell people, take your shot. Like, go for it. If you want to try it, do it. And don't feel that failure is like final, Winston Churchill, but it's, like this could be that step to get you into where you're supposed to be, in whatever you're supposed to be doing. It's like, once you're in that realm, it doesn't mean you have to stay there. It doesn't mean that, you got to keep on going and going and going, like the Energizer Bunny and, and just failure after failure. And then like, next thing you know, like you had like 5 heart attacks and you're like unhappy with your life. Like, that is not okay.
Right. Because you're trying to make it as an entrepreneur,
right.
prove something.
Exactly. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some great friends that did the entrepreneur thing for like 10 years and now they're doing a corporate thing and they're in love. Like, they just love it, and I think that we really, again, need to be aware of ourselves.
Yeah.
So when we are trying to encourage other people, I can sit here and I can say, I love what I do. It's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart,
Right.
because I am working all hours of the day. Honestly, do you know there's some places in the world that are 12 hours ahead or behind us?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
and they want your help too.
and they want my help too.
Right.
So I have to figure that out and I have to make it work for me.
Yeah.
Right. And I have to have good boundaries and I have to have good communication skills to be able to do that.
Yeah. I love that, and it validates what I was sharing in that episode, which is tell your entrepreneurial journey with respect for other people's journey, right? Because it's not the only way to find success,
Right.
and sometimes it comes down to very simply the language that you use, the actual words.
Right.
Because the words communicate more than just themselves. It's teaching people what you value. It's teaching people what you're looking for. It's teaching them how they need to show up to feel seen, feel heard, feel validated in this environment that you're creating as the founder, as the entrepreneur. So thank you for validating.
Yes, absolutely.
Being the expert in validating what I shared.
Yes. I wouldn't want to hire an entrepreneur like to help me.
That's, you know what? That's a good, very clear point that I don't think entrepreneurs really think about in that way. Like, and I'm thinking about my corporate experience, right? And they say, own your job and act like a business owner. But you're saying, which totally makes sense, I'm an entrepreneur. I wouldn't want to hire another entrepreneur because I want to bring them into the fold of my vision. And if they're an entrepreneur at heart, they're always going to have their own vision for what they're doing and trying to fit it into my vision. And it doesn't work that way.
Right. I think again, I call it whispered down the lane, where, you know, these definitions and these meanings kind of get muddled. And so, like, you know, own it like it's your business. I think that that's great. I really think that that's a great thing. I want my team to feel like this is their business too, you know, because I'm asking so much of them, right? When you think about it, you are a CEO, you are a founder, you are whatever you are, and you have this team, whether it be big or small, and you are asking them to give a third of their life to you and your vision.
Right.
Okay. You have to make it worth their while. You have to. And everybody's wild is different. Okay. Some people are working for the weekend. Some people are trying to get their kids through school. Some people are just trying to make it day by day. And others are doing this sock it away and retire as a gazillionaire.
Right.
You know, so everybody's why is totally different. And you have to remember your why is not theirs. Okay. So when you're communicating with your team, you have to be able to say, what is your why? You know, what drives you? And, you know, you have to actually care. That's the whole thing. You have to actually care. You know, one of my biggest messages is always, it's not about you. You know, and I will say that and say that and say that. It is not about me. It is about you. When I am having a conversation, it is about you. And I want to know what makes Romaine tick. You know, what is happening there? And that is the difference between, you know, I think a boss and a leader. You know, everybody's always saying that. What's a boss and what's a leader? I think that is one of the biggest differences. A leader knows that I need to care about you as much as you care about me and my stuff.
I have really enjoyed this conversation. And as you said earlier, anytime we get to talk is a blessing. As we kind of wrap up here, what are your final thoughts or advice for the listeners who could be at any level of their career, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, or even as a frontline employee that just aspires to be at a higher level in their career one day, and so they listen along to prepare? So what would you like to share?
Wow. First off, it went too fast. I got to say that, you know, too fast. But yeah, I think people really need to understand it takes time. We do live in a very instant gratification kind of society now. We live in a very disposable society. And honestly, all the great things, it takes time. It really does. And, you know, be brave and go out and try it. You know, like if you want to try to do the entrepreneur thing, go out and try it. You know, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Like you want to, be the best general. And like I always tell people, like general is where it's at. Like, you know, those entrepreneurs, those leaders, those CEOs, they always need that general. They need that person that is, you know, just on point with everything. I mean, it's their go-to person. Like, you know, that is the person that we all aspire to know and love and, you know, just have near us all the time. The fact is that everything worth doing, it takes time. It really does take time. And stop making it always about you again. You know, it's about other people. And I think once you are able to really connect, because here is the biggest thing. You've heard it. I know people work with people they
know, like, and trust.
Okay. Yes.
That's right.
Yes. And the fact is the number one thing in there is like. It is like. Okay, I can look up, you know, dog grooming on the internet and your name pops up. I walk into your company and I have my cute little puppy with me and I am trusting that you know what you're doing.
Right.
Okay. I know you because the internet told me to know you.
Right.
I trust that you are doing what you say you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But am I going to come back? Am I going to stay?
Yeah.
That's all dependent upon if I like you.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And look, that's politics. But
Yeah.
we're not going to get into that for this show. Thank you again so much, Tia, for being on the show and for having this rich conversation and just sharing a little snippet of your expertise with me and my listeners today. We're going to have you on again.
I would love it. I would love it.
So we can talk a little bit more about this, because communication is one of those things that you can never learn enough about. And as you evolve and mature and grow, the way that you communicate should evolve and mature and grow as well. And then as technology continues to advance, we have to always come back to this foundation, because this is what makes us human, right? So thank you again.
Thank you.
And listeners, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I told you a little bit about Tia. You heard a little bit about Tia. Jump in the show notes to read more about Tia, her full bio, and also all the ways that you can connect with her. If you're ready to work on your team's communication skills, reach out to Tia and get going. And also, if you would like to work on team alignment, get your team on the same page so that you can scale and grow, I can help with that as well. All of my information is in the show notes. You guys know that. And until next time, build trust and results will follow.